Hi, everybody. Welcome to Production Notes, a behind the scenes look at the talent show. And of course, I am joined by the producer of the talent show. It's Charles Epstein. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Tom. And when you say behind the scenes, I want people to know that it's probably a little bit more exciting than it sounds. It sort of reminds me, I don't know if it was George Bernard Shaw or somebody who said of Wagner's music that it's better than it sounds.
Uh huh. It's better than it
So,
sounds,
so
right?
I think that very much applies to our behind the scenes stuff. I believe this is our third production notes, taking people behind what goes on
Yeah.
and putting these things, pulling these things together.
Well, last time I referred to you as the Wizard of Odds and Ends,
Yeah, at the time it sounded good, maybe a
but we're
little bit.
moving on from that, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, again, in the moment it was good. I think we may want to run it up
Mm-hmm.
the flagpole and see if we come up with something else. But
Uh-huh.
who knows? Who knows?
Okay.
Everything's subject to change. It's kind of early for us here at Production Notes. So
Fair enough.
what we say now may be countermanded. We may have some other executive decisions coming down the pike.
Uh-huh.
So who knows? That also sort of reminds me, now that I'm getting into this reference mode, there was a short story, I forget the name, with Mark Twain. And I forget what they call it. It was two people playing chess,
Mm-hmm.
and it was their regular meeting, and they took very detailed meeting notes, et cetera, et cetera. And again, it was just the two of them, but the formality was kind of part of the humor. So to some extent, I suppose that goes for us. But in any case, we digress. Yeah, this is the third production notes, and I think we've thus far had about 7 or 8 actual talent shows. Most
Yeah.
recently this week with Mr. Geoffrey Klein, CEO and founder of ninedots, which helps businesses create compelling, story-driven visual content. And you guys had a great conversation, Tom. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A great guy, and we really enjoyed not only everything he had to bring to the table, but also connecting on our shared Eagles fandom.
Ah, yes, of course. And of course, a belated congratulations to you
Thank you,
and
thank
to
you.
Jeffrey. And I know we actually have a couple of other people coming on the talent show who also hail from that general neck of the woods.
Yeah,
So you're going to have a lot of fodder, a lot of conversations. Thankfully, we're not co-hosting these.
yeah, that's a point. Yeah, being a lifelong, what is it, Jets fan?
Jets, Mets, Knicks. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
only thing I
yeah.
have going for me right now, well, the Mets
The
should be
Knicks are
interesting.
solid. The Knicks are
And the
solid. The
Knicks, the
Mets have
Knicks.
definitely taken a turn up. I think they're going to
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
they're going to be competitive
yeah,
for a little while.
yeah.
You know,
So
you
that could
mentioned
be.
you mentioned Mark Twain just a little earlier, and his real name, of course, Samuel Clemens. And you do know the story behind his Mark Twain, where he adopted that name, right? You know the background on that.
I don't. Does it have to do with a steamboat or a ferry
Yeah,
or something like that?
marking it. What they used to do was they used to mark, I guess, the depth of the Mississippi in
Uh-huh.
certain areas, and they would drop this thing and it would Mark one, and instead of saying Mark two, they would say Mark Twain.
Ah,
And he had grew up there and he heard this and he liked it. He liked how it sounded.
very
And
nice.
it's Mark
Very
Twain. There
good.
you go. You learned something right here
Yeah,
on production notes. Isn't
you
that
do. You do. You do. And by the way, I would have gotten it multiple choice. Anyway,
yeah, I'm sure you would have.
anyway, and the next one that we have teed up is a conversation you had with Kristin Pozen, and who is the practice leader and senior recruiter for the Duffy Group, a global recruitment firm that works with corporations to help them find the right talent. And when she goes home from work, she has a side hustle called Peekaboo Cookies, where she bakes an amazing assortment of cookies. And we're going to have to get a couple of batches sent our way once we drop this podcast, assuming
Uh-huh.
she likes how it came out. And I can't
Yeah.
imagine she won't,
No,
Tom.
I think she had a good time, and yeah, it was a lot of fun talking to her. In a previous life, the two of us spoke with her on a different show, and she was a lot of fun. And And yes, we did get to sample her amazing cookies that she creates, and I say creates because she really takes it as an art form. She really does these. It's not just like grabbing a tube of Nestle chocolate chip cookies at the local grocery store. This is a big deal. This is something,
Yeah.
she really takes it to the next level. So we're definitely looking forward to sampling a new batch of cookies from her, and it's a fun show that she did. She was great.
Yeah. Okay, good. Looking forward to that. And that's going to be dropping next week. I know you and you more than I, are comfortable in and around a kitchen. You like chefing it up.
Yeah.
I do to some extent as well, but I've never been into baking apart from the one time I had the notion as a kid of baking a lemon meringue pie.
Hmm.
I don't know what got into me, but it never did happen. But I was around to help my mom and, lick the
Huh.
spoon and lick the
Yeah.
spatula and, do all that stuff. But I never
Yeah.
really got into baking mode.
Yeah, I think it's we talked about that on the show actually, Charles, and we did come to the conclusion that baking requires a little more science than does cooking. Cooking can be a little more experimental, but with baking, I mean, you can be experimental, I guess, with the decor, with
That's true.
decorating. It's more of
That's
a
true.
science. It's more
Less forgiving.
measurements. And cooking, you can kind of improvise more, which plays more to my strengths just in life in general. But yeah, I am not a baker. I have to say I am not. I'm not. I can, like I said, the aforementioned tube of Nestle chocolate chip mix that you just slam onto a baking sheet. I can get about as far as I can go.
Yeah.
Actually concoct my own creation from scratch. Yeah, I got to work on that. That's something
Yeah.
that I'm not there yet, and
By the
maybe
way,
never will be. It seems like a lot of work.
yeah, it is a lot of work, I'm sure. Have you seen that series, The Bear?
I no, I know of it, but I have not seen it.
Highly recommended it.
Uh-huh.
I came to it a little bit late, but it's terrific, and I'm sure many of the our listeners know the premise. One of the characters in it is obsessed with baking, and in fact, he's sent over, if memory serves, to Amsterdam to apprentice and learn several tricks of the trade. And what's fascinating about that show generally is how meticulous and how absorbed they are in the minutia and the art and the science of cooking. I'm sure the showrunner and the writers are immersed, or you'd have to be immersed in that world because it really seems incredibly detailed and and highly credible.
Yeah,
So when you get around to it, check it out. And
yeah,
it's definitely one of the better shows, series on work. And, there are a number of those shows, even movies, series that come to mind. Some are very much genre driven, police procedurals or shows like ER, etc., or shows like Office are kind of broad. But there have been some really, really good shows. Could you think of anything off the top where you say, yes, that is one of my favorite shows, series, movies having to do with work for whatever reason?
Hmm. Well, I'd say a movie I really enjoyed and took to heart to some degree and could relate to was Office Space. Uh,
Absolutely.
I think that really captured the essence of what it was like to be in the corporate world. Something that I really pray about every day that I'll never have to get back get back into. It's not anything I've really ever enjoyed. There's an old saying. I guess I don't know if it's an old saying, but it's certainly a sentiment that I agree with. Great profession, terrible business, and you can say that about a lot of things. You can certainly say about the movie business, the music business, anything in the arts. Wonderful profession, terrible business. And I just found that when I was actually working in these corporate places, sometimes I would really like the work itself, but everything around it, oh baby. I mean, I'm telling you, I just didn't want any part of it. I
Yeah.
just was unhappy. So I really hope to not go back to that. But yeah, the Office Space captured that essence, I think,
Yeah,
quite.
Office Space, I would have to agree. Mid-sized technology company,
Yeah.
faceless technology company. You have a lot of types in there. It's kind
Yeah.
of interesting. We are very much having a Bob and Bob situation on steroids right now with
Yeah.
Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump. So it'll
Yes,
be
Bob and
quite
Bob.
interesting. Yes, it'll be quite interesting how Elon and Elon. Let's see how that plays out. I would have
Yeah.
expected you, by the way, I was expecting you to say Glengarry Glen Ross, not that you have
Oh
any
gosh,
experience
yeah.
selling real
How
estate.
how did I forget that?
Yeah, I would have expected that. I mean,
That would have to be even over Office Space for sure. The Alec Baldwin slash Al Pacino rants alone. Those two moments in are just legendary cinema, and yeah, just fantastic.
yeah, no, I mean, a lot of great movies and series that would probably be worth a separate podcast. We're just sort of
Yeah,
doing this off the cuff, but I'm sure if we spend some time looking over, going back to Fritz Lang's Metropolis, the ultimate dystopian version
yeah.
of a company. You got a little bit of that in Brazil. The
Oh,
show
Brazil. Yeah, yeah,
Brazil,
yeah.
the show The Office, is obviously broad and fun. And it makes some, really, there are a lot of episodes and scenarios where, yes, I kind of have been there, but it's obviously a little bit more broad. But I'll tell you, I mentioned some genre shows. I happen to be watching right now The Pit.
Mhm.
It's sort of like an ER, an updated ER, but incredibly intense. It's sort of like if anybody has seen the Israeli series Fauda, it's sort of a cross between ER and Fauda. It's nonstop adrenaline, nonstop insanity. And I'm watching this, and my one takeaway, apart from it being very, very interesting, is that, my God, what kind of person goes into this line of work? I actually asked somebody who's in the field, I said, what kind of person goes into that kind of work, ER, where it's so intense every second? It's literally life or death, end of life decisions, counseling. It is just absolutely nonstop. And this person said to me, well, people who go into that, particularly the attendant physician, is a thrill seeker, is somebody who likes extreme sports, which makes a lot of sense. But it's a really interesting show, and very well observed, well acted, and so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
the one positive real life application that I'm sure many people will have when you watch is great, but thank God that's not what I do for a living.
Whew. Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. He's Charles Epstein. I'm Tom Alexander. This is Production Notes. And a little bit more to chat about on the other side. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Wrapping things up now on Production Notes along with Charles Epstein. I'm Tom Alexander. And of course, this is a behind the scenes look at the talent show that Charles is the producer and I host. And we have a lot of fun with our guests on that show. And I know, Charles, we're working on some folks all the time to bring them on.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a couple of surprises lined up, people from different fields, different walks of life coming on and talking about some things you'd never expect them to be interested in or do. So,
Yeah.
watch this space, as they say. We've got a lot of fun
Well,
stuff coming
yeah,
up.
yeah, absolutely. Charles, I think we can move on and reconnect here in another week or so, a week or two. I know that you tend to keep your guests close to the vest until the last moment. Then you surprise me. You say, "Guess who's coming on?" Boy, it's a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
just I'll tell you that much. So
Yeah, no, well, we're having a lot of fun with it. The guests are having a lot of fun with it. People coming on, quote unquote, letting their hair down, showing a side other people don't get to see. And, it's becoming kind of infectious. We're getting people asking us, hey, I'd love to come on the show. Really, really dig what you guys are doing. Sometimes we got to say, well, show us what you got and let us know what you want to talk about, because they like the idea of coming on the show, but not everybody has figured out exactly what they want to showcase, but that's okay.
That's true. Well, that's a good point. We will be back on production notes and certainly on the talent show right here on the Work to Find podcast network. I'll get that out. Podcast. There you go. For Charles Epstein, I'm Tom Alexander, thanking you for listening. We'll see you next time right here on production notes. So long, everybody.